Today's video will be a summary of the September Ashes of Creation live development update stream. I have divided this video into specific chapters so you can jump around if you so wish. For more Ashes of Creation content, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you missed my previous Ashes videos, I do have a playlist on this channel packed with a ton of videos to view at your leisure. Let's jump right in. Let's start off with a good old-fashioned studio update. Up to this point, around 80% of the team has moved into the new studio, and the last of the equipment and furniture should arrive and be installed by next week. And why do I bring this up? Well, a fully functional studio with everyone in-house is likely a good sign for increased productivity on Ashes of Creation. Intrepid is of course still continuing to hire new developers, and the past few weeks have brought some great hirees for the company, including Wynn McLaughlin, who is taking the senior narrator designer position. Wynn was the former lead writer for the Elder Scrolls Online, which I think generally speaking is a very good thing for Ashes of Creation. Let's take a look at his LinkedIn profile. Game writer, narrative designer, screenwriter, and novelist. Lead writer and narrative designer ESO for 9 years and 1 month. Wrote the entirety of the game's main quest at Ship. Managed the editorial department and recruited, mentored, and led a team of narrative designers. Ensured the quality of writing within and associated with the project, including marketing, web, and community content. Maintained and enforced writing standards. Worked in concert with the lead lore master, and so on. I think you guys get the picture. And prior to this job, he worked for BioWare in Austin as the senior world designer on Star Wars: The Old Republic. And then also in October of 2014, he released his own novel called The Bone Feud, and everything I've looked up on this book has given it 4 or 5 stars. So what do you guys think about Intrepid Studios hiring Wynn McLaughlin? I think it's a really great hire. Not only is he going to bring a ton of experience to the project, but it also makes you wonder why a guy like him would join Intrepid Studios if he didn't see great potential in the project. In terms of development on the game itself, at the moment things are being torn down, reworked, and rebranched. There's some significant prototype phases coming up, especially when concerning the combat side of things, and over the next couple months we may even see some public demonstrations. Alpha 2 is supposedly going to be a massive upgrade compared to Alpha 1, and I did dive a bit deeper into what you should expect to see in the Alpha 2 in my previous Ashes video. Now let's take a look at some of the new video footage. What you're seeing on the screen right now is a character wearing the armor of Magistrate. I think many can agree that armor designs in Ashes and the intricate details that can be seen is something we can all be excited about. The team has also been doing a lot of work on the weighting aspects and flow of cloth material on characters. It's still a work in progress, but it looks pretty good in my opinion. This frightening creature is the Flying Geode mount, which is a rather twitchy mount with sharp teeth and dangling vines. When it's in walk mode, it appears as if the vines are acting as legs, but when it moves at its regular speed, it flies. I don't believe that this will function like an actual flying mount and be able to go any higher. It's more so like a hovercraft mount. The second mount that we got to see is called the Ebon Omen. Like the Flying Geode, this mount is still a work in progress and does need some polish. The Ebon Omen appears to be some sort of decomposing horse, and its innards give off a dark red glow. It looks like a great mount for those of you going down the necromancy path. Next up is a demonstration of the character death and revival animation. Intrepid wants to make death have more of an oomph to it, rather than your character just falling to the ground like in many other MMOs. The idea of the character turning into ash also fits right into the lore of the game, as all life on this plane of existence comes from the goddess of creation, whose avatar is a phoenix. I personally think that this looks pretty amazing as long as it doesn't kill everyone's PC performance. The next two demonstrations are a bit more on the technical side, but fairly interesting. First up is a simulation map of Verra that helps Intrepid Studios see all of the possible outcomes of node progression, and how it affects the entire world around it. Most of you are probably aware that when a node progresses to stage 3, which is its village stage, it becomes a parent node, and the surrounding nodes in that parent node's zone of influence become vassal nodes. The vassal nodes are essentially enslaved to the parent node and will always remain at least one stage below the parent node. On top of that, as nodes level up, new content is introduced to the world, dungeons, quests, trade routes, etc., and as nodes de-level, content may be taken away. As most of you can imagine, having a large map with 100 or so ever-changing nodes on it can make things quite complex, and it's impossible to accurately predict what us players are going to do in this game. This map helps Intrepid at least be more prepared for all of the possible outcomes. Every second that goes by on this simulation equals a particular amount of in-game time, and Steven said that this is either 12 or 24 hours per second. And as you can see, the world is constantly changing as the system tries out all the possible combinations by turning some nodes into level 6 Metropolis parent nodes, and then simulating a node siege and de-leveling that same node back down, all while adjusting the surrounding areas accordingly. It's a really cool simulation that also helps us players truly see how much work has to go into the creation of the node system. This next demonstration, I didn't quite understand all of the technicals, but Intrepid was basically showing us that they found a way to greatly increase the FPS to better account for large amounts of players. Their current goal is to allow for smooth 250 versus 250 player battles, which may eventually turn into the goal of 500 versus 500. The first demonstration that we're seeing is 1,000 characters, all of which are wearing armor, and in this build, each individual piece of armor and the players themselves are all calling their own call to the GPU to be rendered. So one player with armor on may be sending 5 signals to the GPU. This is obviously a very intense process, especially with 1,000 players in one area, and because of this, the GPU was only able to clock 7 or 8 frames per second. After making some engineering changes by merging the armor with the players so that each player, including their armor, is now only one total call to the GPU is now able to clock in around 21 or 22 FPS, which is a 300 to 400% increase from before. You can easily notice the difference, and this is a huge improvement. Now, 21 FPS is obviously not the end goal for this, nor is it very good, but seeing Intrepid slowly working towards making 500 versus 500 become a reality is pretty cool. Now let's head into some of the character and environmental art and then end with the Q&A. Intrepid finally let us see some art for the base character model of the Renkai Orcs. The Renkai are the tallest of the playable Orcs, and as you can see, they have that brute type look that many of us expect from Orcs. There will be another subrace of Orcs that doesn't quite fit that image, and they're called the Kai Vek, but we'll have to wait to see more on them. We will have the ability to vary the skin tones, going from a reddish color to a more green color, and Intrepid also confirmed to us that there will be plenty of sliders in character creation to alter other aspects such as your character's body build. Intrepid continues to prove to us that they are listening to our community feedback, and as you can see right here, they've finally given the Dunir Dwarves an overhaul, making them much more stockier and muscular. Before, the Dunir Dwarves looked more akin to gnomes, and most players were not really too happy about that. The other race of dwarves is called the Nikawa, and that will offer players a way to stray a little more from the traditional dwarven look. Right here is some concept art of the volcano biome, and as we saw initially with the concept art for the tropical biome, Intrepid's 3D modelers seem to be very good at making the actual concept art come to life in its truest of forms. My favorite of these images was seeing the transition areas from a more forest biome into the volcanic biome. Moving on to the Q&A. There will be significant changes that we will see in the Alpha 2 to the active abilities that came with the playable archetypes in the Alpha 1, which were the Mage, Tank, and Cleric. Steven said that the ability list in Alpha 1 is nowhere near what the ability list in Alpha 2 will be, especially from a leveling and progression standpoint. There will in fact be things in the game that will be achievable by only a very small percentage of players, and this kind of falls in line with very high-end content or one-offs. The weapon combo system in Ashes will play heavily into the weapon skill trees, which were not present in Alpha 1. There will also be certain types of effects or procs that can occur based on what stage in a combo attack that you're in. You can potentially augment that with set bonuses and gear. For example, you may have dual daggers, and as a rogue from your archetype's active skill tree, you can get a skill that allows the possibility of a bleed effect going off on the third attack of your weapon dagger combo. You may even have a gauntlet that further allows the possibility of that bleed attack to proc on the second part of the dagger attack combo. So there's going to be a lot of synergy between your active skills, weapon skill trees, weapon attack combos, and even items. All 4 of the node types, so military, divine, scientific, and economic nodes, will all have equal opportunities to gain XP for their node's advancement. From a design standpoint, Intrepid really wants this to be as equitable as possible. Different types of quests, from narrative to event quests to task quests, will all be attainable from a variety of different sources. One type of quest will not be limited to, say, just NPCs or a town board. The arena system in Ashes is going to offer players a place to compete in a more structured format. It's going to have ladder systems where players can progress within certain seasons based on things like their win-loss ratios. It can also be a great place for players to just practice their builds and test things out. Guilds in Ashes will allow for leaders to change the names of different ranks within the guild, and also allow for the opportunity for higher ranking guild members to assign various roles to different players, allowing those specific players to do things that others may not. There should be a lot of freedom with the guild management system. Player operational ships in Ashes of Creation will be built by the players. You will not be able to get them from NPCs. However, there will be some NPC controlled ships floating around that have to do with quests and things of that nature. And that'll be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much. For those of you guys that made it all the way to the end, I really do appreciate it. I will continue to cover all news related to Ashes of Creation, and of course I will be participating in the Alpha 2 like I did with the Alpha 1. If you guys ended up enjoying this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.